Let's welcome in Rob Parker joins us. Of course, The Odd Couple is the radio show. You can see him on all our shows on Fox Sports 1, and you can check out Inside the Parker. That is his baseball-only podcast. Let's start with the news of the moment, which is Pat Mahomes. Is there a number which is too high for the Chiefs to sign Pat Mahomes to?
No. And how you doing, Doug? I guess whatever, you're only worth what someone's willing to pay you. I've always said this. So whatever they think he's worth, then that's what the number is. There is no right number. I always laugh at people who always talk about how much money and all this other stuff. You know this. If you can get somebody, I mean, people in Hollywood have gotten them to pay them $20 or $30 million a picture to work for 3 months and make a movie, and people are cool with that. But if an athlete cashes out and somebody wants to pay them with all the, gobs of television money and all the other stuff that's out there, more power to them.
I don't think anybody is no one will be bothered with however much money Pat Mahomes gets. I think the only issue you run into is what is the limit to which you can pay a guy and still put the type of roster that they've had around him, right? Like Chris Jones wants a new contract. He's got Tyreek Hill on a discount deal because of the nonsense Tyreek Hill has been involved in off the football field. But there are always, he's going to have to continue to build the offensive line, the defense. Like, he's great, but he was under a rookie deal. Now when he's making mid-upper 30s, can they sustain all the other players around him? That's really the only question in terms of limitations.
That's not his issue, and I don't know why people worry about that. The Kansas City Chiefs hadn't won a Super Bowl, in 50 years or whatever it was, hadn't won a championship. So they won one. He's already gotten them one, and if they can somehow win another one or maybe three, Doug, then no matter what it is, it's worth it. Look at all the organizations who have paid people like the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford, who haven't even won a playoff game in a decade, 11 years. Those are the people should be worried about eating up the cap space because they don't win anything. Kansas City, they've already won. Whatever they get after this, I'm sure they rewarded the guy, and they feel like, no matter what it is, as far as taking away from other people or whatever, it's just the nature of the business, and that's for the people upstairs to figure out and get lucky and work some other deals and have people take less money or whatever it is. But I believe in getting every dime that you're entitled to or your market value. I don't believe in giving hometown discounts, worrying about the cap and the general manager and the owner, because we saw in New England, Tom Brady kept taking all these hometown discounts and pay cuts, and all everybody ever said was they never got him any other star players or any other great players on offense to help him. So what was the point on taking cuts?
They won games because he had a great team around him.
No, but I'm talking about last year and other years when they claim he didn't have anybody. I'm saying I don't believe in that, Doug. That to me is that's for the team to figure out. That's
right,
not
and the team
out.
Can figure out what's the limit we can pay you and still putting guys around. There's a certain math to it. You can't just give a guy a blank check and go, hey, write it out. We're good, whatever. Like, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works in any business.
I don't
my business and your business. You don't have to believe in it. That's the way the business works.
I mean, but
they are going to pay him. But like, look, there's a reality to it. It's like, look, you can't.
But you're talking about the future. You're talking about other things that you can't control. Oh, this guy wants to get paid. That guy. That's going to happen. Right now, I have the best quarterback in the NFL.
Correct.
He won me a Super Bowl. He's won an MVP. He's done everything. I'm going to pay him. I'm going to pay him. So what's the?
I didn't say you don't pay him. There's a limit there, right? And you got to figure out, like, what's the limit? Can we put a team around him? I mean, look at all the guys the top earners. Right? The guy with the biggest salary cap number in the NFL, the last 10 years, 8 of them haven't made the playoffs. Why? Because it's really hard to put a team around them. That's what it is. It's just hard. There's a hard number with the cap. They'd love to give, I mean, it's like any business. Like there's a reason that Colin and Skip make what they make. You can't pay everybody those numbers because the company has to make money as well. So they want to make money. There's also, there's also basically a revenue split with the players. And you have to figure out that within that salary cap structure, how much can we pay you and still give you other weapons? Like, look, One of the reasons he was able to win a Super Bowl. Is he great? Yes, sure. Okay, but Sammy Watkins was his 4th best wide receiver. We think Travis Kelce's not going to want to get paid. He got Tyreek Hill. They only got Tyreek Hill on a discount because of the domestic violence stuff, right? I mean, they were able to go out and get dudes and acquire defensive talent as well, a solid offensive line. It is more that no one has ever won it by themselves. And you can say, what did Tom Brady get? He got 9 Super Bowls. He did 6 Super Bowl wins.
But I'm just saying, my point is, GMs make bad decisions with the money. I'm not leaving it in the hands of giving up money for somebody to spend. There's been plenty of teams that have gone out and spent money, Doug, and they don't win, or they sign the wrong people. So my point is, that doesn't automatically mean because you leave money for other people that you're going to win anything. That's my point. Because you have bad general managers.
It gives you but has their general manager done a good job?
I'm just talking about in general.
Do they have a good team? Did they fix?
Saying,
I understand, but did they fix their defense?
But I'm just saying it ain't a guarantee because you give up money,
no question,
or you take less. So I'm just not in that camp, and I'll never buy into it. The salary cap is a phony number made up by owners to limit the amount of money. It is.
What are you talking about?
It's a free market system.
No, it's not a free market. No, it's not.
Yes,
no,
it
it's not.
should
You have
be.
a union.
Everybody else, it should be a free market system. Yeah.
It is not. You have a union. A union does not make it. When you collectively bargain an agreement, it's not a free market system anymore. You're speaking about something that is not accurate.
All right, so baseball players, they don't get whatever they don't get whatever they can bargain for. What is the difference, Doug?
They negotiated a completely different deal where there's
That's
a
my
luxury
point,
where there's a luxury tax.
Live under
where there's a luxury tax. So
but
the New York Yankees,
that doesn't stop people from getting paid top dollar.
I understand. Okay, they do get paid top.
Number and the NBA's number are phony numbers.
No, they're
made
not.
Up. They are.
No, they're not.
They're made up.
How do they come to the math? How is the salary cap calculated? Okay, in the National Football League.
Doug, you don't have to do it that way. You know what you do? You have an open market system. The best players
get
the most money.
Are you aware?
And the scrubs don't get paid.
Okay,
how about
you?
that?
Yes, good. Okay, but here's the problem with that. Okay, that's pure capitalism. That's what you want, right? All right. I'm not parsing words. You familiar? You remember what happened when they had the non-cap year, the uncapped year? Do you remember that? Do you remember what happened? See, the thing about no salary cap means there's not just no ceiling, there's no floor, which is what happens in Major League Baseball. So these guys don't make anything, nothing, in comparison to some of the top earners. So you have the rich and you have the poor and you have very little in between. And that's what a salary cap does, is it helps fill in those in between. They had a non-salary cap year in the NFL, and it was a disaster for the players because that's exactly what would happen. Pat Mahomes would get a bunch, and everybody else would get nothing. And that's the way it works in business.
That's where most people live in this country. That's what we have.
And you're okay with, and Doug, you're saying you're okay with that.
You don't make the same as Colin. Fox doesn't go to you. They have a budget, yes. But if they want to give you more money than me, they'll give you more money because they think you're worth more than I am. All I'm saying is, the reason that stuff all came into play is so that they don't drive the cost up because they're afraid that one rogue owner is going to come out and sign people of these big money, and then they'll have to be able to justify not paying other guys on that level. That's really what it ain't about competitive balance. It ain't about any of that stuff.
Yes,
no, it's
look
not.
at baseball. You're using baseball as an example, and you're walking right into it. Okay, the Miami Marlins have been doing this where they're not paying anybody. And they're basically the Yankees are subsidizing
them. The Miami Marlins have won 2 championships in the last 20 years. I'll wait, and you can tell me how many the Yankees have won and how many the Detroit Tigers have won, how many the Red Sox have won. You could go through baseball. Baseball's had more different teams win championships.
I'm not talking about competitive
than any other sport. The NBA has the same three teams.
You have teams that only tank, but then they tank financially, and they just won't spend anything. And so that's what the salary cap does. And when they had a non-salary cap year in the National Football League, all these dudes thought, we're all going to get paid. It's an open market. And what happened? None of them got paid because they're represented by a union. And the union says, hey, what are the greatest number of people that we have want? And that's the low-end dudes to get paid more money. So they sign up for that, and it limits what the top earners make. But the truth is that I think Pat Mahomes can get by on 35, 36, 37 million.
You care what he can get by on. That whole nonsense about you think he can get by on. It's about the industry, Doug, and how much money is made. That whole, well, I don't know what the difference is between 37 and 35. How come he can't take 30? It's generational wealth. I don't understand. What's the difference? What the difference is, go look at what the owners make. What do you mean? I think the owners can make 8% on their money, on their return, and return the rest of the money to the fans. How about that? How long would the league be open? The league would be closed down.
Okay, listen,
Does the owners make enough money
business
for you or not?
Rob, do you operate a business?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, and what is the percentage of return on your investment on a yearly basis that you make?
20%.
Okay. So if somebody say you're making 20% on your money, and somebody says, "Hey, why don't you make 8% and then give it back?" How would you feel about that?
It depends on who's talking
You
about
would do whatever.
it. No,
Stop lying.
My
Please
point
stop
is,
lying to
Doug,
me.
My point is this whole notion that you're going to sign off on what's good enough for somebody else. I hate that talk.
You can
Where
hate
does
that talk all you want.
Where
the
does
reality,
that come from?
look,
I'm asking you. Who are you to say that he can't live on 37?
Because it's the reality of this monopoly money. It's the same thing when you talk about
Doesn't
CEO.
matter.
Yes. Wait. It's the same thing you talk about CEO compensation. It's the same thing. A CEO can make 50, 60, 70 million dollars. But what's the point? Like, what is the point? The point is for everybody to get paid as much as humanly possible.
Ask Roger Goodell, who makes $40 million and make one tackle or sell one ticket. Ask Roger Goodell. Why does he make $40 million, Doug? And why don't you tell him
I'll tell you.
that $20 million ain't enough?
Tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Would you like me to tell you? Okay. So before Roger Goodell, when he took over, they had the lawsuit, the concussion lawsuit, right? So this is Doug Gottlieb Show, Fox Sports Radio. Rob Parker's my guest. He's a co-host of The Odd Couple, which airs at 7 on the East Coast, 4 on the West Coast. Of course, you can see him on Fox Sports 1 and download the Inside the Parker podcast. When he took over, they had the concussion lawsuit. The estimates from lawyers were that it was going to cost $2 billion to settle that thing. They settled it for less than $1 billion. And the way to generate that was they moved 3 teams, Raiders, Rams, Chargers. And with relocation fees, that is roughly $2.1 billion. It's $750 million or so. It's roughly $2 billion. That's how they paid for it, with none of the owners having to come out of pocket. So they're forever indebted to him. Additionally, Thursday Night Football wasn't around. So he had Thursday Night Football. First Network, I think it was CBS, overpaid for it. Then they split it with NBC, and then Fox came in after a couple of disappointing years of CBS and NBC, and Fox paid more money. None of that existed before Roger Goodell. Additionally, he's opened up avenues to China. He's opened up avenues to play more games overseas. In other words, he is helping them make more money, and he continues to generate more and more wealth for his team, for his owners, for his players, and that's why he makes $40 million, because that's a drop in the bucket.
Can't justify it.
Why can't you?
Commissioner, because.
Why can't you?
That doesn't matter who's running this league, the way it's set up, and the television deals have nothing to do with Roger Goodell.
Doesn't?
He didn't
It doesn't?
know. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay.
It's the number one television show for the last decade.
I agree.
Right? So when you go there and you negotiate with these guys,
so
Roger Goodell doesn't.
Leadership doesn't matter.
It does matter, but it doesn't matter $40 million worth. That is not. That's way over compensation. He has lifetime health care.
Wait, hold on.
He's
overcompensated. Who are you to say he's overcompensated?
I'm telling you he's overcompensated.
Who are you to say he's overcompensated?
I'm the overcompensated police on Fox Sports Radio.
You just said, how would you ever say you can live on that? Overcompensated.
No,
everybody should get what they should get. What you're saying is Pat Mahomes should get what he can get, but the guy who helps run the league and negotiate deals, which is worth 10 times what Pat Mahomes generates for the Kansas City Chiefs, shouldn't get paid whatever he can negotiate.
My point is, you could say if you want to say Pat Mahomes is overpaid.
I don't think
that's
he's
your
overpaid.
opinion.
I don't think he's overpaid.
But for you to say,
listen, I want to make sure this is clear, Rob. This is clear. I don't think there's a level to which I think he's the best young quarterback in the league, and it's not really all that close. I think there's others that may be as good or better quarterbacks, but considering how long a career he's going to have and how his skill set fits what quarterbacks are going to look like, he's great. I have nothing I would pay. But the problem is, you have the limitations of working for somebody who's going to want to make a profit, in addition to the fact that As an employee, there's also a salary cap because you're part of a union that's negotiated the salary cap. And so you have to fill out a team around you. You need 52 other guys. So you can't just take everything there. You got to leave some on the table.
Problem.
So yes, it is your problem.
No, it's not.
Okay, so listen, if you want to drop back and get your ass kicked every time you take a snap, you got to leave some money for your offensive line. That's the way it works, Rob. That's the reality of the sport. It's called the world's greatest team sport, not how much can we pay Pat Mahomes.
And that's what Matthew Stafford did in Detroit when he became the highest paid player in the NFL a couple of years ago. He took less on a downtrodden team that's won one playoff game since 1957. Nobody asked Matthew Stafford to take less. He got what was on the table for the quarterback whose time had come. And that's my point, Doug. Why? Have you asked Matthew Stafford to return money
I don't understand
to get him help on the offensive line
you're doing
to build this team?
You're doing the Boston. Rob, I love you, but you're doing the Boston thing, right? Where everything goes back to Detroit, where you've called home, you own businesses, you've been a successful radio and a writer.
Nobody to the money. I'm relating to his money. That's why.
Who's been the most successful? Who's been the most successful quarterback for the last 20 years in the NFL?
Tom Brady.
Okay, how has he done it? How's he done financially? He's made $230 million or something of a salary. He's done pretty well. He's also done really well because he hasn't taken top dollar, and it's allowed the team to be built around him. I got one last thing for you. Kaepernick said he tweeted out a video which James Earl Jones reading this incredible piece by Frederick Douglass that was written in the 1850s. But Kaepernick said he won't celebrate the 4th of July because it celebrates white supremacy. I'm not quoting it verbatim, but that is part of what he said. Is he still hireable in the NFL?
Absolutely, because it's about football. They've hired felons, people who have had vehicular homicide, guys who have raped women, guys who have beat children. Yeah, he's hireable because those words are not nearly, Doug, as damaging and as terrible as some of the things that people have done who wear NFL uniforms, who've been given second and third chances. Those people are employed. His words and his beliefs are his alone. There are people who have done worse. And I don't see why he can't play football and be a quarterback in the NFL.
That's Rob Parker. Check out Inside the Parker. It's a podcast about baseball, which we think will get back underway, although some of his camps are closing. Of course, you can check him out with Chris Broussard on The Odd Couple every night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. And you'll see him on Undisputed, on Colin Cowherd's show, on Speak for Yourself, on all the shows on the TV side. Rob, great stuff. Good talking to you.
Have a great day, as always.
You too. Rob Parker, the crazy uncle, arguing. And I want to point this out, that he actually gave praise to Tom Brady. He did. Now, he basically says he's a bad negotiator, but he did give praise to Tom Brady, saying he's been the most successful. Because it's inarguable his success. It's whether or not he's that great, which is Rob's point.